Alright, so, hi.
Yo!
I am in the car with GameChomp. We have been in the car for like 5.5 hours. We have another like 5.5 hours to go.
Over 9,000 seconds!
Yeah. And...
Hey, it's a cop. There was a cop.
Yeah, I'm just recording this audio on my phone, and I'm going to do a bunch of animating, like, pictures and text and that type of stuff based on what we say.
It's going to be real pretty.
This should get pretty interesting. We didn't plan what to talk about or how long this is going to be.
We'll just use our words.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
A little bit earlier when we were in the car, we were talking about Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then we were talking about politics and who might be the next president, because we listen to we talk about really different things.
Yes. Because we are strange.
We were talking about Pokken.
Except for Pokken Fighters.
We were talking about
music.
We were talking about my channel.
We talked about Hamilton, the most amazing musical ever. It's a great musical. You should listen to it.
I think we should... What do you want to talk about?
I think we should talk about Sun and Moon. I mean, you do a lot of Pokemon stuff. Pokemon stuff is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Pokemon, so let's talk about Sun and Moon.
Alright, so let's talk about Sun and Moon. So, we were talking about Alex Ogloza's theory-type video, because that's like the only one that we've both seen. And he raised a lot of really interesting points in that video.
True.
Like, he was talking about how in the Japanese titles of X and Y and Oris, you can see the Mega Evolution symbol and the red and blue orbs, respectively. And in this one, there are these, like, diamond-looking things. And they look similar to, I think they're called Burst Hearts from one of the Pokemon mangas, and that makes the trainer fuse with the Pokemon, and they just introduced Ash Greninja and all that sort of stuff, so...
Greninja. Greninja's an awesome Pokemon.
I found that Greninja is, like, too good.
He's so cool.
Even though it's frail.
But he's so cool.
But, like, we were talking about that, and...
I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see if they're going to implement that. I'm honestly just really excited for Gen 7, because it will have been 2 years since the last new Pokemon game came out by the time this one comes out, because Oros came out over a year ago, and I'm just really excited, because I was thinking... It's
actually going to be over a year, because Oros came out in September, and this is going to be in December.
Okay, so it's going to be over 2 years, dang. Come on, Pokemon Company. Game Freak, what are you even doing? Probably making good games, hopefully. I just want it to be good. If it's good, then I'll be happy. If it's not good, then I'm going to just be like, you took 2 years for this? Come on, bro. And all the other bros and sisters.
Well,
I'm so excited.
I'm functioning under the assumption that it's Gen 7 because of the little birdie thing that they showed in the Direct. Because, in my opinion, that's the starter bird, which means that it's a new generation, because, you know, in every generation there's a starter bird. You had Pidgey, you had... What was the Gen 2 starter bird?
I forget.
Because I know they had one.
I don't remember things.
Well, let's see. Gen 3 was Swellow.
Yes.
Gen 4 was Staraptor.
Gen 5 was...
Unpheasant.
Yes, which is dumb.
And Gen 6 was Talonflame, weirdly enough. What was Gen 2? It wasn't Fearow.
Yeah. Huh. Whatever. The point remains.
But there's a starter bird in every generation. I know that there's one for Gen 2. I just can't remember. Noctowl.
That's what it is.
Hoot Hoot Noctowl. But yeah, there's always a starter bird. And there's always a starter bug also. But I'm pretty sure the picture that they showed of that birdie thing is going to be the Gen 7 starter bird.
Which means it's hopefully Gen 7, fingers crossed. If it's not Gen 7, I'm going to be so many tears. Like, all the tears. Like, 2 years for not a new Pokemon game? That would be pretty lame.
Well, here's the way that it's obviously a new game. It's whether or not it's a new generation.
Sorry, that's what I meant. A new gen. Without a new gen after 2 years, it's pretty lame. I mean, I think people were just disappointed because Gen 6 didn't have, like, a ton of new Pokemon. I think it was only, like, what, 50? Something like that?
It was... Well, let's see. We went from 618 to...
720-ish.
Yeah.
I guess it was more than that.
It was like 100 new Pokemon.
Alright, that's pretty good.
But it wasn't like, new stuff. Like, they kind of repeated some of their old stuff.
Mega Evolution was new, which was good.
Mega Evolution was new, yes. But what you have to remember is that, like, in every generation, there are the starter bugs, and then there are the starter birds. So right off the bat, that's 6 Pokemon gone that are kind of like, you know, it's kind of like they're redoing it.
No, it's more than that, because it's 3 for each of the 3 starters, so that's 9. Plus 3 for the starter birds.
Plus 3 for the starter bug.
Yeah.
Plus the starter mammal, which is,
yeah, like they had Sentret in Gen 2, and then they had Patrat in Gen 4.
The one for this gen would probably be like Bonnelby or something like that.
Yeah, I think Bonnelby was probably that one. And then I think it was,
in Gen 5, it was Lillipup.
Okay.
In Gen 4, it was Bidoof.
Oh, it was Bidoof.
Friggin' love Bidoof.
What was Patrat? Was Patrat not the... Whatever, they exist.
I think Patrat you caught, like, a little bit later.
Alright, regardless. The point is that hopefully it's going to be a new gen. Hopefully it's going to be good. I think I'm excited for the fusion thing. If we get the fusion thing, that would be really cool. Especially if they, like, allow you to change your like trainer's personality. I know how they
Hatters uploaded a video where he was saying like some of the things that he really wants to see in the new game.
Yeah,
and I think trainer customization is really important.
I thought that was cool
because I think it gives you a huge amount of individuality for the game. Because like if you play competitive Oris, there are only 2 different trainers, and it's May and Brendan, and they look really similar.
Except for their gender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas, like, in X and Y, there was probably a total of, like, hundreds of combinations that you could make.
Probably more than that. Might have been thousands.
Yeah. But that's something that I really hope they bring back. The thing that I'm wondering, though, is if they do bring Pokemon Fusion and trainer customization, that would be a lot of data.
I mean, the thing is that they've done things like that in the past. I guess it would just depend on what you want, how you want it to transform, or it might just be that each Pokemon has one transformation with the trainer, or something along those lines. Or it could be...
Yeah.
I mean, they might make a gender-based thing, but I kind of doubt it.
Well, the thing is that if Ash Greninja is, like, going to be in the games in some way, shape, or form, then it would lead you to believe... We just saw a sheriff... Florida Sheriff's car just drive straight across the median. But that would lead you to believe that they were going to repeat the 6th gen starters. Which I wouldn't mind it that much, but at the same extent, I really like, especially for competitive Pokemon, it's really important that they add new Mons, like a new generation, because it's not that Pokemon is necessarily stale, it's that the metagame of competitive Pokemon, it's not that it's stale, it's that...
It wants to evolve. Yeah.
It needs to change. It needs to change.
It's evolve. This is Pokemon.
Because, like, they could force a change... Like, Smogon can force a change by arbitrarily moving something to another tier.
But that's not... That, like, goes against what the... Okay, fine.
But exactly, that goes against the democratic way that they do things.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they do some things arbitrarily, but usually they're pretty good about it.
Like when they brought Mega Gyarados to UU...
I cannot believe they did that.
It got quick banned in, like, a minute.
I was gonna say.
But, like, still, that was something that shook up the metagame temporarily. Straight up when they moved Gyarados back down to UU, that changed the UU metagame a lot.
Because everyone was using Gyarados.
Because Gyarados is really good.
This is true. He's just got, like, so much going for him. He's got so much good things going on.
He has Intimidate and Moxie.
Or
he's only weak to 2 types.
This is true.
And he has setup moves. He's fast. He has Taunt, which is really big.
He's actually a really good support Pokemon.
He is. He has Thunder Wave.
Yeah.
He's one of the very few water types with Thunder Wave.
Yeah.
And there's probably even less flying types with it.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, electric flying Pokemon probably have it, but there are not a lot of those.
There's Thundurus. There's Zapdos.
What's the electric rodent thing that flies?
Emolga.
Emolga. That's what it is.
The electric rodent thing that flies.
You knew what I meant.
Well, I'm thinking about, like, when I'm animating this, You're gonna see like a rat with a bolt of electricity on it. Because it's an electric rodent.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's Pikachu. You could just put like Pikachu with like bat
Pikachu
wings.
does learn fly, technically.
Wait, what?
There's an event Pikachu with fly.
What the crap?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can like surf on Pikachu. Wait, I know Raichu learns surf. Does Pikachu also learn surf?
I think so.
Okay. So
Which is that's actually a really good coverage move because it hits ground types.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some people like in competitive like for doubles run it on their Raichus.
Yeah. Like one of the things that I really want to see, I still think they need to hit Gen 4 with a reboot. And
Gen 4 was so amazing.
Just because Gen 4 was so good, and that's the game that has been untouched for the longest period of time.
Well, I mean that's just because Gens 1, 2, and 3
have all been remade.
Yeah. And
Gen 5 was remade like immediately with Black 2 and White 2.
I wouldn't call that a remake. Although it was, Black 2 and White 2 were basically a better version of what Black and White were.
Yeah, but like, there's a lot that you can do with Gen 4, like especially if you...
the distortion world, that would be so cool in 3D.
I was about to say, with the 6th gen engine that we have, the distortion world could be like... That would be such a huge draw for people to buy a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or like, if they rebooted Platinum and made it on the new 3DS... that would make the sales for it a lot higher because a lot of people would be drawn to a 3D distortion world.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the original commercials for Platinum, the distortion world was a really big thing because it looked really cool.
I remember. I think that actually brings up another point from Alex's video because he was talking about how for like X and Y and also for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that did not have the third installment of the game.
Yeah.
There was no Z. Z did not happen. And
Delta Emerald did not happen,
which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, one of the things that Alex was bringing up is that this could be the end of like the third installments, which I can easily get behind because, in my opinion, the third installments were always just like the first two with a little bit of extra stuff.
Honestly, they could just do a DLC if they really wanted to. Cause they're getting a lot into that with like Smash Bros. And all that kind of jazz.
But like
But it would have to be free DLC or I will riot. If they want to give me a whole new game, I'm fine with that. And I'll pay $40 for it. But if they're going to do DLC, I want free DLC.
Yeah.
Because I'm demanding.
But it's like, for the third installment games, Platinum was the last third installment because then we had Black and White, then we had Black 2 and White 2.
Those were kind of third installments, but not really.
No, because they're still... The thing about third installments is that there aren't version exclusives.
Yeah, that's true.
So, one of the things that I was saying is that when you release 2 games rather than 1, it makes people more likely to get both.
This is true.
Because you have version exclusives, and even if it doesn't make people want to get both, it makes people interact with other people that bought it so that they can...
expand the community and all that.
Yeah. It's a great way to expand the community and have people, interact. Because, like, if you think about it, since the first game, in Red and Blue, there are certain Pokemon you can only get in Red, and there are certain Pokemon you can only get in Blue, and if you wanted to actually fill up your Pokedex, or if you were into competitive and you wanted to get a Pokemon for your team that was on the other game, you either had to trade with somebody or you had to buy both games.
That's true.
So it automatically increases sales and or interaction,
which is great.
Which is something that Nintendo is very much about.
I think that's part of the great thing about Pokemon is the combination of the interaction and the variety of the games, which I really appreciate.
But like that's
I wonder if
like with the third games, that's something that they take out. Like I'm pretty sure that the third games,
meaning third gen.
Yeah, the third gen games. No, the third, as in like the third installment games.
I get what you're saying.
I'm pretty sure they sell not as well as the dual installment games, just because they're never that new, and there's there's usually not something that special about the game that would draw you to it. The thing is, Platinum is a very big exception because of the Distortion World in Giratina, and they also added a lot of new Pokemon for Platinum that they didn't have in Diamond and Pearl.
I thought there were only a couple.
Well, weren't like all those extra evolutions? No, they were in Diamond and Pearl.
I think there were only a few. I know Giratina was definitely only in that.
Yeah. But like, Emerald was really, really similar to Ruby and Sapphire.
I've heard amazing. I actually never played Emerald, but I've heard amazing things about the Battle Frontier.
It has a Battle Frontier, but that's not like, you still have to go through what is pretty much the same game.
This is true.
Just to get to that.
That is true.
And Crystal wasn't that different from Gold and Silver.
Yep.
And Yellow, the only real difference there is that you start with a Pikachu. Pikachu! But, you know, while it's cool to start with a Pikachu, you can just catch a Pikachu.
But you know what, man? You can choose to start with a Pikachu. You can Pikachu's it.
Actually, no, like, you're forced to start with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then you get the other 3 starters, like, along the way.
Oh. That's dumb.
So it's cool because you get to use all 3 starters, but to the same extent, it's like, you can just... You don't need all 3 starters.
The thing that I think is interesting is that I wonder about is, like, did they spend all of the time, like, is this taking 2 years because they started development on Z, and then they were like, maybe this is just a bad idea, and then they're just like, let's not do that, let's just do Sun and Moon instead, or like, you know, some 7th gen game.
I don't know, it's definitely possible that they, like, started on something else and then scrapped the project.
Yeah, I mean, like, people, I think another thinking that Delta Emerald could be a thing because they filed patents on it.
Yeah, I think the main reason that they did that was like what you're saying, is that they were considering doing it, but they ended up favoring just having the Delta episode. Because, like I said, Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire were very, very similar.
This is true.
Like, there wasn't a huge difference between them. Because of, like I said, the 3rd installments, there's only so much you can do without it being just a new game.
Yeah, I mean, they have to strike a balance between having new content and not making it, like, so different that it's, like, incompatible and unusable with like, the prior 2 games from the trios.
Yeah. Like, the other thing another reason why I think they would want to make it 7th gen rather than like Gen 6.5, as people say, is that, like, VGC is a big thing for Pokemon. Like, they invest a lot into that, and they obviously saw how overused some Pokemon were in VGC, so they changed the rules even though all the Pokemon were the same. But now they just have new Pokemon that are completely overused.
I mean, dude, legendaries, man.
Well, yeah, no, but, like, everyone uses Primal Groudon.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
So freaking good.
It's only weak to ground. I literally think that's it.
Pretty sure you're right. Well, because you can't hit it with water attacks.
Yeah, it's only weak to ground.
Unless, I mean, Primal Kyogre kind of changes things, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but... Yeah. It's still there.
Yes, this is true.
It's still, like, you're just dealing with Primals, Megas, and like, legendaries that aren't restricted in that way.
This is true.
And the weird thing for me is that they allow legends like Mega Rayquaza, but they don't allow stuff like Mew or Jirachi.
I don't know how they arbitrarily chose that. I mean, the thing is, like, I understand them not allowing a Pokemon like Arceus, but I don't think that they should allow Mega Rayquaza. I think he's kind of OP. That's why he's in the Envy Ghost tier. I guess it's a little bit different in doubles, but still.
Yeah. But, like, I think 7th gen would be really important.
You know what I think they need? I think they need to make Ice a less crappy type. That's why Dragons are so good. Because, like, I think Fairy was a good idea.
Well, they nerfed Dragon a lot when they introduced Fairy.
This is true. However, that being said, I mean, as good as Fairies are, Ice is still irrelevant.
Ice is... It's irrelevant in the fact that it's only useful against Pokemon like Garchomp, Salamence, Flygon, Dragonite, Pokemon that are quad weak to it.
Its offensive typing is just, like, not very good.
Its defensive typing is even worse. It only resists Ice.
which is horrible, and it's super affected by some of the most common types in the game.
Firefighting, rock, steel.
Yep. I mean, steel not as common offensively, but like firefighting and rock are incredibly common, especially in doubles. Everyone in their mother,
early game.
Yeah, everyone and their mother runs rock slide.
Yeah.
So like ice types don't function in VGC; they just die.
I don't think I've ever really seen ice types in VGC.
I think that like one person in like a gajillion will use like an Articuno, or like I've seen Weaviles here and there. Those are like
I've seen Weavile used because it's fast and it hits hard
and it has fake out.
Yeah, and it also has that fake out pressure.
And also beat up combo with Terrakion was a thing. Are you familiar?
No, but that does sound interesting.
So what you do is that Terrakion has the ability Justified, right? And so Terrakion's very strong, and so you'll use Beat Up, which is an attack that will attack a number of times based on the number of Pokemon in your party.
So 4.
So 4 times for VGC, and so you'll use Beat Up on your own Terrakion to hit it 4 times. It'll do like no damage, but then your Terrakion with Justified gets 4 attack boosts from getting beat up by your Weavile, and then you just like wreck everyone's faces.
Well, yeah, Terrakion does get Rock Slide, so that would be...
And Close Combat.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, Choice Band that? Oh my god, it would do so much damage, though. But yeah, people don't really use ice types.
But I think they need... We don't need more legendary Pokemon. Like, that's not the point. We need more, like, normal Pokemon.
I would agree.
To shake up, whether it's the Smogon tiering or the VGC stuff, we need something to shake that up and make it different, because it's been relatively stagnant for the last, like...
I mean, that's the thing that's good about having new games.
Yeah.
Is that, like, you won't have the same meta forever.
Like, the meta goes through subtle changes here and there, because one Pokemon becomes a lot more popular, so a Pokemon that counters that Pokemon becomes more popular, and it's an infinite loop.
I mean, it's not infinite. I think eventually you reach, like, some kind of equilibrium where, like...
Yeah.
Where it, like, becomes stable. And that's why you don't see Talonflames everywhere anymore, because, I mean, Choice Band Revenge Killer Talonflame is honestly not amazing anymore, because everyone and their mother uses rocks, and, like, if you have like, one Talonflame counter, then, like, Talonflame becomes kind of useless.
Well, it's because what happened was Talonflame got really popular because it was a Revenge Killer with priority, which is, like, ridiculous.
Yes.
But then everybody started running Rotom Wash because it completely walls it, and then everybody started running Superior.
Yep.
And then everybody started running, like, other stuff. Like, they would start running Unaware Clefable because it ignores the...
Stats, yeah.
The stat boost. And then people started running, like, Mega Metagross because it just destroys Clefable.
Yep. Etc., etc.
And so on and so forth.